Okay, so our presentation is going to be over bell ringers. The thing that, for me personally in high school, for certain classes that I took, I didn't like doing. But they, at the end of the day, they helped me. And so, first thing is, bell ringer is an activity commonly used at the start of a class. And these activities consist of short answer questions, problems, review games, etc., etc. I know growing up, I've done a lot of them in my high school, personally. Um, most of them were in English class. It was either about rewriting a sentence or picking the correct sentence that was correctly punctuated and everything like that for English. But for math, there was always problems we had to do before class, and then we'd go over them shortly after class started. So here I have a couple examples of bell ringers. This one has to do with the human body and skeletons. I found this on the internet. I thought it was a really good example for what I'm talking about here, just so you guys could get an idea. And I gave another example. This is, I guess, what it would be for a music class. I personally never had this whenever I was in choir. We came and just sat down and began class. But I thought of this as also a cool thing to see as an example as well. And so one of my articles that I used for my research, the name of it was Using Bell Ringers in the CTE Classroom. And in this article it spoke of just different ways to use bell ringers. It gave a bunch of examples of how to, and some of the examples you see here are like short answers, hangman. Even there was a teacher, I think it was Virginia, if I remember correctly, West Virginia, that they used YouTube videos, and they'd have their class summarize it. Review games was another one that was mentioned in this, and it was just basically teaching you how to use this in your classroom, and how other people and other teachers in other states have used and implemented bell ringers within their classroom. And me personally, I found it very helpful reading this article. It opened my eyes a lot to how you can implement it within the classroom. And the second article I had was warm-ups that are not just for the gym. And it compared bell ringers to warm-ups that you would use before like a workout or in gym class. I remember in gym class we'd always stretch before we started our daily activity. And so it just compares bell ringers to basically, working out. And instead of for your body, it was more for your brain. And in the article it expressed how it is a classroom management tool, which it gives the students like a layout of how the class is going to be. Like for example, in a classroom, you come in, it'll be the bell ringer, and then maybe you'll go over the bell ringer afterwards, attendance. And then you got the lecture, and then homework, the conclusion of the class, and then class change. It sets up that for an everyday of the week kind of schedule, I guess you could put it, for your lesson plan. And it also keeps your students accountable, that they know what they're supposed to do whenever they come in. It helps you manage your class, that they know how to come in and do this work for you, then you're going to go over it, etc. And so it also expressed a lot about how bell ringers help students in growing their mindset. It gets them ready and prepared for what the lecture is going to be about. Like, for example, if you use an article out of a newspaper clipping from the 1930s about the Great Depression, and you're teaching history class, and that lecture is going to be about the Great Depression, it gets them set up for what they're about to learn. Or we used to do brain pop videos whenever I was in middle school in science class about, I think it was the cells that we went over. And then in that class we went over each part of the cell. The animal cell, the plant cell, and everything within them. And that's what this article is basically talking about when it comes to this. Bell ringers, it just helps. It's kind of like just stretching your brain out for what it's about to learn. And so the conclusion to all of this is that bell ringers are beneficial because they prepare your students for your lesson for that day, and they help you manage your classroom. And it's mainly to help your students, just to grow their mindset and help them be prepared for what you're about to teach them and what they're going to be tested on later on within the quarter. And so here are my articles, and that is the conclusion to my presentation about bell ringers and how they are beneficial to the classroom.